I'm Anarchy. I'm with Rob Moz. This is Mozzcast, and we have tonight the return of Collector X, the much anticipated return.
Yes.
What's up, gentlemen? Thanks for having me back.
Wow.
Thank you for joining us. There's so much to talk about. Just what's out, the lines that are out, and how you can go broke just collecting Hasbro Black Series and DC Mcfarlane collectibles and Power Rangers and Turtles and everything. But today we're going to talk some about Mcfarlane, what he's putting out. But first, I think we want to get into a little bit of what came first, right? Before Mcfarlane, I think that's Multiverse, right? The Mcfarlane Multiverse figures. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, he picked up the basically continuation of the Mattel line with the branding, but right. His style of figures.
Right. So before McFarlane got it, Mattel had it and brought out a line that I love, which was DC Universe Classics. But even before that, we're going to go back before. I guess it was, if I remember correctly, DC Collectibles. Is that correct?
No, it originally started as DC Direct.
DC Direct, that's right. And I still have some of those figures, and they didn't have much articulation, if I remember correctly.
No, they were almost like 5 to 8 points of articulation, but they were the only game in town at that point, and they were doing very obscure characters that were, and hence the name Direct, were only direct to comic book stores or collectible stores. That was it. There was no mass retail.
Right, you had to get them at collectible stores. And I remember at least the figures I have. I still have a couple. Their sculpting was good. I have a Superman to this day that I love, and a Firestorm that's killer. But I mean, they're not really articulated at all. But kind of like statues that kind of just stand there. But good sculpting.
They're kind of pre-posed, but aesthetically pleasing. And painted very well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they painted, and era specific. When they first started out, they were doing stuff from the characters from the 40s and 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s that were very obscure, like the original Billy Batson and Shazam from the original comic, along with a little Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime, excuse me, that's a Pokemon.
Next week we talk about Pokemon.
No, it's Mr. Mime, the little worm character.
Yes, yeah. Mr. Mind. Yep.
Mr. Mime, yeah.
Mr. Mind,
and Dr. Savannah and stuff like that. So, I mean, they were perfect. But like you said, they were nothing more of putting on your shelf, showing off the collection. And as time went on,
I put a couple of them in my DC Universe Classics line. Like you said, Billy Batson went in my DC Universe Classics line because they didn't make a Billy Batson, I don't think, if I remember correctly. And there was a couple Teen Titans figures I had put from DC Direct into my DC Universe Classics line as well.
Oh, absolutely. It was they were, both of them started to be interchangeable for place fillers, because Mattel would do something that DC Direct didn't do, but DC Direct did something that Mattel didn't do. So you had this interchangeable stuff between whether it's Teen Titan figures, Justice League, Freedom Fighters, and all sorts of stuff that they played off one another, whether they was intentional or not. So it was actually a good foil for one another. But you could see the different aspects. And as DC Direct went on, they got better as far as sculpting and paint apps, but still lacked in the articulation, where Mattel did a broader breadth of figures with more accessories and more articulation, but the paint apps and sculpting were lacking. And you could see the contrast there.
Now, how was the scale in DC Direct?
It was about the same, anywhere between 6 to 7 inch figure. Some of the bigger ones, like they did the original Solomon Grundy, he was more on the 7 to 8 inch scale. So the bigger figures obviously got bigger pieces. They were also doing vehicles. They did the original Lobo on his motorcycle, which is a very expensive piece at this point. And that was sculpted perfectly with his dog, spelled DAWG. But they played off one another. You other than the articulation, that's about the only thing that set them apart, pretty much.
Even Billy Batson looked good scale wise with the DC Universe Classics Shazam. Like you had Billy Batson, and I had Billy Batson in front of the Shazam family, and
Right.
looked really good and even I think I had Jericho from Teen Titans.
Yep,
That
and that
I
was and that was a figure that was never made from the Mattel line. So yeah, they were interchangeable in that aspect, and though they didn't have the same branding, they were in the same universe, so it made it work.
and
Right.
the scale was good for a lot of those, and they had the rabbit from Shazam that I had too. They made a rabbit in a Shazam costume when I don't know his name.
Uh,
But yeah, he was in my.
Well, look at me.
yeah, I'm lost on that one too. That's a first.
Yeah, there was a rabbit in a Shazam outfit with a cape and everything that I had bought to put in with my Shazam family from DC.
Is DC Direct still collectible? Is it still holding value?
Yeah, there are certain figures that still hold value because they switched names. They started off as DC Direct and rebranded as DC Collectibles, and then reverted back to DC Direct for a short period of time before their demise, before they were shuttered a few months ago by the parent company. But yeah, there are plenty of figures that still hold tremendous value.
Okay.
I mean, if you're just in particular, the Batman animated series figures, they're amazing. And if you didn't get on it the first time, you're going to go broke trying to catch up.
I love that line. I never got on it. And I've been saying over the last 2 years, even to Rob, man, I got to get in on this Batman animated figures line. Never did.
Yeah, you're going to have to sell your home and take a second mortgage out just to start to get those figures because some of them are, in the $200-$300 range.
I remember them. 5 points articulation, like it.
No, they had a little bit more articulation. The 5 points. I think you're thinking of the Justice League animated figures.
Oh yeah, I am.
Yeah, these had more articulation, accessories, and towards the end of the line, they actually got away from the actual cartoons and started doing characters were never part of the cartoon, but could be like Deathstroke, the Red Hood, stuff like that. So they started to branch out. It's like, well, what happens if they were animated? And those figures right now, they were only released a few months ago, go for $60+.
Wow.
Yeah. I really, really like that line, and I was sad to see DC Direct go away just because that line was so great.
Yeah.
I remember not too long ago looking for a Batman animated series Batmobile that came with, I think, Batman and Robin and the Batmobile, and that was $200, $250 at the time when I looked. That was just a couple months ago.
Oh yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even more because that thing is to scale to the figures. You can fit the figure in there. They also did a Batwing, which was to scale.
Yeah,
that's enormous. And I remember at the time people were complaining about the price point on that, but I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that's well over $300-$400 now.
Oh, the Batwing.
The Batwing, at least.
Wow.
And it's a massive piece. It's like having the Castle Grayskull again or something. You got to have room to display it.
Oh wow! So
when did Mattel really come in and put a notch into them? How far along?
Well, I don't know. I can't say per se that they really took away from any market share that they had because they were doing different things at different times. Like DC Direct was following more of the comics that were going on, specific artists at the time, where Mattel was doing a multiverse, even though they didn't call it a multiverse at that time. They were doing a lot of Jack Kirby stuff where Jack Kirby wasn't really represented in DC Direct. But they started to become Mattel became the definitive one right around the 2000 mark.
And Mattel DC Universe Classics was their shot at retail, I believe, as well.
Yes, that was their shot at retail. Their first wave was the Metamorpho wave with Red Tornado, Vintage Batman, Vintage Penguin, the Demon from Jack Kirby, which is one of my favorite characters I still have. And that's what set it off. And they went out and did 20 lines plus 2-packs plus exclusives. And then they eventually went to Matty Collector and went there for a few years before they shuttered that altogether. So they did a large variety of figures that I don't know if you guys remember, but like the later waves, like 16 through 20. I mean, you're talking like D and E characters that people at retail have no idea who Stripe is as a Build-A-Figure, or the Sandman from original Justice Society. So they were really going
Right.
deep on that stuff.
Now, I have a love-hate relationship with that line. I love that line, and I kind of hated that line. Like you said, Wave 1 had... The Red Tornado was a fantastic figure. The Demon was a
Yep.
fantastic figure. Look at some of the exclusives. Plastic Man from SDCC, and
Yep.
they actually did their own versions of the Superpowers versions of, Steppenwolf, and they tried to Cyclotron and all that kind of stuff. They had their own 6-inch version of the Superpowers line. But what really
Sure.
got me about that line was the Batman sucked. The Superman sucked. The Aquaman was a great sculpt. He was probably one of the better ones. Green Lantern was not that good either. Like, their main characters, I didn't really care for. You know what I mean? Like, you had hundreds of these characters with great sculpts. I think the Four Horsemen and sculptors in New Jersey did a bunch of their sculpts for that entire line as well. But the main characters were not very. The Superman, I think, is one of the worst figures they did. Right?
It is. It's not one of the greatest. You're right. The flagship characters, including Wonder Woman, they didn't do a great job on them.
Mm-hmm.
And the one issue that I feel was something was detrimental to the Wave, and why they lost the license and then went to Mcfarlane, which we'll talk a little bit later, is simply they didn't evolve. They just continued to do the same thing over and over again, and they just went on the fact that, hey, you want DC stuff, retail, this is where you're going to get it. And I guess their sales were good enough to warrant keeping the license. But it wasn't until they lost the license the last couple years they decided, hey, we're going to put articulation in the wrists, in the ankles, we'll better sculpt, some more accessories. But
that's the problem too. That body, they beat the hell out of that body, man.
Oh, they did. Another issue I had
over again
was that body. It's this every character had pretty much had the same body.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you look at figures with the same exact body and different heads, and I think people got tired of that a little bit.
Well, Marvel Legends changed the game, with that. I think Hasbro listened to the fans where Mattel didn't give a shit about the fans. They just put stuff out to make money,
Yeah. I mean, the only thing they did occasionally was a fan vote, what's the next Build-A-Figure you want,
Sure.
something like that. And that's nice, but again, how is that legitimate? How many times do we see on Matty Collector, the thermometer?
Oh yeah, they reached their goal.
Tick up from Mr. Nightlake, and you're wondering, really, you're at 50%. You got 12 hours to go, and all of a sudden you get your next 50% next 12 hours. I don't know how much I really believe that one. In order to get the line.
Matty Collector was just they used, when they had these specials or whatever, to get the really rare figures, you had to get in on the website when they're on sale that day, that hour. They used Digital River, which crashed the entire site numerous times. That was it's like the Target exclusives now with G.I. Joe. This was a pain in the ass then, as opposed to the Target exclusives now. But Matty Collector and Digital River made me want to pull my hair out a few times.
Yeah, unless you did the subscription where you're already locked in, which that was another issue. The biggest complaint I know for me was simply, I don't mind doing the subscription, but you got to at least tell me what kind of figures I'm getting. And it was like a blind box for 12 months. And you had no idea what you're going to get. So you could have been locked in for figures that you could care less about. They would give you like the first three. So like maybe the first 3 or 4, the first quarter, but the next 3 quarters was basically, well, you get what you get. Well, that kind of sucks because I don't know if you remember, one of the figures was a Mr. Mapidlik, which was a non-posable PVC figure. That counted as one.
Wow.
It's like, how do you sell me that for $30 almost? It doesn't make any sense. But for them, that was a money-making grab because they controlled all aspects of the product. Distribution, branding, everything. So
they soured the taste of a lot of collectors with the way they ran that.
Absolutely. And that's why that one closed before Matty Collector did, because people got fed up for the fact that they weren't evolving, they weren't changing anything, they weren't telling people at least 3/4 of what they're going to get, but yet you're going to take $350, $400 from me? Come on.
Yeah, Matty Collector became like, going back before the DC stuff they did, Masters Universe Classics was a subscription service, and I'm not going to get too much into it, but They started out with, the first few, He-Man was $20 for the first figure, and every month you got a figure, but then it turned into a car payment. You'd get,
Yep.
3 figures a month, then you'd get the special 2-pack, and then you got the play set, and then I'm not even kidding you. There was one month I remember they're charging me $480 for, and it might have been like in the summer, one of the SDCC months, or at Christmas time when they hit you with all sorts of stuff. But like, holy shit, this is becoming a fucking car payment every month, even more.
Oh, absolutely. And then they throw in those deluxe figures, and those skyrocketed the price and stuff, and you wanted to stay in it because they were Matty Masters Universe was an amazing line. But like you said, it was tough to swallow some months. I'm okay with the $25 figure a month. I can handle that.
Right.
But when they start compounding each month because they couldn't meet their deadlines, we ended up paying for it, literally.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad. I love Masters of the Universe Classics. Love it to death. I still have every piece. But
that's going to be a future episode for sure.
I'm glad it's over. Not so much the figures, but the subscription part of it, and Matty Collector hitting me with my $400 bill every month, or $500. I remember telling Rob, it's like a fucking car payment this month, dude.
Yeah. You got to tell your wife, I'm sorry, we're not eating this month. Why?
I got He-Man
figures. You did what? Listen, don't worry. We'll be fine. We'll eat next month. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I can sell a kidney, honey. For sure. I can save us.
It's coming to that. It's coming to that. And with that, so that all ended, and McFarlane picked up the ball, basically. Yeah, they won. Was it like a war, a bidding war? Like,
you know what? I don't know how they go about it. I don't know if they if Mattel, not Mattel, excuse me, if Warner Brothers or whoever the apparatus is at the company goes out and solicits, or the toy companies solicit knowing that the license is up at a license fair. And
I know at one point Hasbro was making a big play for it.
Yes, they were trying to go after it, which would have been huge. It would have been, I don't know. I think it would have been a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Right. Having 2 dueling lines, and I don't know how that's not a conflict of interest with Disney and Marvel. But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how that works out. Yeah. But McFarlane won the license, or bought the license, and everybody, including myself, were very skeptical about how they're going to do it, because as good as the Spawn figures were, they were nothing more than statues,
Sure. Yeah.
And because he was all about the aesthetic and the lines, not breaking the lines. So everybody was very hesitant about that, including myself. So
yeah, absolutely. Everybody knows how I feel about him. McFarlane in general. With back in the '90s, he really fucked a lot of collectors with the way he initially sold his product. I don't know if anybody knows that, but he came out, with the Spawn, with Image Comics, and he started soliciting toys out to people, and he told collectors, these toys are going to be exclusive to you guys. They're not going to hit retail. And he totally lied. He totally lied to a lot of people. A lot of people invested a lot of money into him, and then you were finding this shit at Toys R Us on clearance.
Toys R Us, you found it at Walmart. I mean, you found it everywhere. It was you remember the Walmart bins of action figures?
Yeah.
It was just like a center aisle, and there was just figures thrown in there. I remember all that stuff, as a kid going, oh, this is great. But as a collector, someone who was actually investing time and money into it, that's a lot of money down the drain.
He really he stomped the shit out of a lot of people. A lot of businesses closed. I mean, that was at the time, comic shops were closing very frequently. They exploded. And then, I think he was the demise of a lot of them, man, because they invested a lot of money into him and what he said when he came out. And then the big box stores came out and said, no, we want it. Yeah. And he just said, fuck you guys, and basically I think they even got it after the box stores. I think he fucked them that much where they couldn't even get it first.
I believe you.
Yeah. And it just left a sour taste in my mouth with that guy, and yeah, I understand business is business and you're going to do what you got to do. But come on,
I remember buying the first couple waves of the Spawn figures. I remember the Clown and Angela and the medieval Spawn, and I think they came out at the same time as Star Wars relaunched, or about the same time anyway. And I remember going into stores, KB, finding them and liking them for what they are, but like you said, they were pretty much statues that you could, not much articulation, but statues. And then there was the rubbery one, who I can't think of at the moment, but the white rubbery.
Violator.
Violator, yeah. And then there was the big, the like Satan kind of figure, right? That was
Malbolgia.
Malbolgia. I had that one too, but then after that wave, I kind of stopped. I don't think I really. I know there was some crazy characters he brought out. That went in line with the Spawn comic at the time. But various versions of Spawn and his enemies and different characters from the comic book. But I stopped for some reason, and I don't really remember why. I don't think it was a money thing. I think I just didn't like that they were statues, that you really couldn't do much with them.
Sure.
But yeah, so he has the DC license now. And
correct.
I remember just not too long ago seeing Wave 1 in the store and wasn't very impressed with Wave 1, to be honest. The Superman I wasn't very impressed with. The Batman, and I'm trying to think who else was in Wave 1. Oh, the Batman animated series, Superman and Batman. I at the time I was going to get collecting the DC Direct versions of the Batman animated series line. They might, and maybe that was right around the time that they folded in, but they just seemed too big to me. They were 7 inches as well. Everything is 7-inch scale. I didn't see a point in him releasing those figures, right? I just if I'm going to buy them, I'm going to buy the DC Direct, the good ones, in my opinion. They were better. Weren't 7 inches. At least I don't think they were. But they were just better, it seemed like. And I wasn't very impressed with Wave 1. What did you guys think of Wave 1?
I tend to agree with you. Wave 1 was not. If you're trying to launch a line, that was probably not the wave to initially launch on. The animated figures, I think, were the worst ones because the 7-inch scale didn't work at all with them.
No,
it just there was something about it that it made it. It took away from the aesthetic of the cartoon. They looked oafish.
Yes.
It just wasn't. You could just look. I mean, even if you can't describe it, like I'm even having difficulty describing now, you could just tell, just visually, like this is not what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't mind it in the Nightwing figure or the Batman or Superman figure, and I didn't mind those two figures. I thought they were interesting looking. I thought the sculpts were well and the paint apps were good. But the subsequent lines, I am really impressed with. I have some over here. I'll show you later that. They're good. I mean, I know there's some detractors on it, but they're really good. I just hope he listens to the fans. So,
yeah. Well, look, as some of my pros to this is the actual look of the figure. It does look really good. The packaging I think is okay. I don't think they're nailing the packaging like. I think Hasbro is, the figure just looks better in the package. I don't know if that has something to do with scale or whatever, but the packaging kind of looks plain, and another thing I like is the artistic value they're putting on it with the modern stuff. They're doing something different, I appreciate what they're doing with these figures. The Robins, I love the Robins, the 3 Goblin Robins or whatever they are. They look tremendous. The articulation's really good on them. But there's no consistency in the line. One figure can have great articulation, and the next one you can't move the arm. There's no consistency in what he's doing with it. I don't know if he's using old molds or whatever, when just like slightly adjusting them. I don't know, whatever he's doing, but like Bane. Is there any cuts in Bane?
There are cuts in Bane. I mean, it's going to have articulation. Is it going to be superposable? No. I mean, I don't think it's going to be great for anybody who's doing toy photography. But my issue with the Bane figure, and I can't seem to find it anywhere, and I've been told I'm wrong, is that I don't know where he is in that Greg Capullo comic where he is gray.
Right.
At all. He is flesh tone, but everybody's telling me no, he's gray, and I don't understand there are sometimes the choice that McFarlane picks is not what the fans want. That's where you and I were talking earlier. It's Todd doing what Todd wants.
I was about to say, I think it's Todd's way or no way, in my opinion.
And that's
no
it. I mean,
more Batmans. God damn, you're killing us with the fucking Batmans.
I don't have a problem with the Batmans because I did a count on the DC Universe line of how many Batmans they made in the years that they did. They only made 24. Okay, so there was what six a year out of 24 lines. Okay, or 6 per line, and they were all the same figure, just different paint.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And the fact that they're already and they were doing it from different eras where he's sticking. What I'm looking at and seeing now is simply they're combining the DC Direct aspect where they did artist and comic forward.
Yeah. And
McFarlane's blending that in where he's picking that up on top of doing more mass retail.
That's the going thing right now, though. Hasbro's doing the same thing with Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
It's the going thing, but there's a lot of characters in DC besides Batman, and I understand Batman sells, but how many Batmans have we gotten so far? The
other thing, and listen, I don't know this for sure. I'm just going from a strictly business retail aspect. Is that if you're selling the Target and Walmart, they're going to want something that sells. So if you're going to come to them with an obscure line, it may not sell because you got to remember if you're doing something, say, hey, listen, I'm going to do a Freedom Fighters line. They're going to go, who? Where's Batman?
That's fine. But all I see on the shelf is Batmans. I don't see other figures.
I think it's because they're usually only doing 4 figures to a case, so there's usually 8. I don't. Some of them may be short packed, and people are picking up those figures first, and that's all you're going to see is the Batman because there's going to be more of those in the wave.
If I wanted to buy McFarlane DC right now, I had no problems buying it. It's everywhere. I've seen flashes. I've seen the Joker. I've seen the Robins. The weird Jokers they're doing. I've seen every figure. It's never where if I go in trying to chase down a Marvel Legends or a Black Series, it's gone. They're just gone. They're not on the shelves. I think the scale, he missed the ball with what's going on in the collecting community right now. You're seeing it with the Ghostbuster figures. They're sitting on shelves. They're not selling.
I think those are just bad. I think that's what it is.
And the scale affects it though. Because every shelf is going to have its own shelf. You're going to have your own DC shelf. You're going to have your own Ghostbuster shelf. You're going to have, but you want the room to look. You fell in love with a scale from Marvel Legends, unfortunately, and Black Series and GI Joe, and they work. Okay, they're all separate shelves, but they work. They look so good together. Then you got the giant Superman over here and the little Ghostbuster over there. We're in the 1/12th era of action figures. It's just that era, either you're 12-inch or you're 6-inch. 3 3/4 is struggling.
You're struggling. Or you're 3.5 inches or 4 inches.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
exactly.
Yeah, I knew that's where Greg was going with that
one.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Like even Mattel with the WWE Ultimate figures, they're a 6-inch scale, and it's working. They're selling. They're flying off the shelves, and the DC is just sitting there. It's just scale sells, and that's something that he's always pushing the edge on something. McFarlane, where it works sometimes. If these figures were 6-inch, I'd be buying them like crazy.
I would too. I am not buying McFarlane's line right now. The new stuff I saw once, like the Robin. I saw one Robin. I saw one Flash. I saw a couple of the new Joker Who Laughs, I guess is what they call it. Dude, I think they're fantastic figures. That Robin is sick, right? That Joker is insane.
Yes.
Both of them. I think he did 2 versions of the Joker Who Laughs, and even some of the regular Jokers he did are just nuts, right?
Yeah.
And
this just came in today.
Oh,
so
wow.
This is
Okay.
The Deathstroke.
I have not seen the Deathstroke in store.
No, me either.
And here's my issue, and I understand the 7-inch, the debate on 7-inch. My thing as a collector, and Rob touched on it a little bit. G.I. Joe when we were kids was 3 3/4. He-Man was 5.5 inches. and lines did vary depending on what you bought. I know personally, if I'm going to collect something, I'm not thinking about whether it scales correctly with something else. If it's a good figure and a good line, I'm going to buy it. My personal feeling, like with Ghostbusters, is the reason why it's not selling is not simply because of the scale. They're just not good figures. Now, if someone says it's not a good figure, well, that's again, that's their opinion. They may have it's their reasoning for not buying it. But if you're going to say strictly because it's 7 inches, I don't know. No one seemed to have a problem with Marvel Select. They've been doing that for how many years now?
I disagree. There's lots of Marvel Select that sit unless it's the right Marvel Select, like the Juggernaut, like an Iron Man or something, like where the scale can work within a Marvel Legends.
Well, I mean, they're all 7 inches plus. Like, I mean, I remember when the Deadpool came out, everybody was, complaining about this is so big, so bulky, there's no way it fits, but that flew off the shelf.
Which character?
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Remember the first Deadpool. And yes, it's not a great figure. It does not go well, but they haven't changed their format. I mean, everything is, 6.5, 7 inches tall.
That's another line I just can't get into. They're too odd. The scale is just too much for me. I had a couple. I had the Juggernaut. I ended up selling, and I had a Hawk. And then when they first came out, I thought they were pretty good. One of the Hawks they did and the thing they did. But then as I look at it, that thing head was too small. It just didn't work for me. Then the Hawk was good when it first came out. Then I was like, man, that just doesn't look proportionate. So I got rid of that. And then I fell in love with the Marvel Legends Juggernaut, and I hated the Select Juggernaut. Not that, stuff like that. So I got rid of all my Select. I don't know. I know they're still doing good because they're still making them. They have to be selling because they're still making them. They wouldn't lose money.
There's some that fit well, like the Destroyer fits well if you're going to do it because of its size. The larger figures, even if you were to stick with the Juggernaut, it still works.
Right.
It's when you get to the normal 6-inch, figures, whether it's a female or not, they don't scale well. But again, that line they do maybe do 12 a year or something like that or less. Figure 80 a year.
Yeah, it's not mass produced, but it's also not. You could find them. Maybe not a character like Deadpool, but you could find them. And I think if it's because they do a lot of bigger figures, they do a lot of robots, they do a lot of figures. They've learned how to sell the figure, along the way. I don't think Select maintains value as far as the regular figure versus a bigger figure, where like a Colossus or a Juggernaut, I think maintains a higher value resale than a more 7-inch figure, like they're doing 7 to 8 inch, right? They do.
Yeah, it's around that scale.
Yeah, and of course there's figures within the line but in general, the ones that could fit in with Marvel Legends tend to resell higher.
Oh, that Colossus, a lot of people still use the Select Colossus as their main Legends Colossus. That's one of the
beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful. It sure was. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. I go back and forth between that and the box set one now. It's like, depending on my mood, which one I like. But back to the original point is simply, sales will obviously dictate whether or not McFarlane's doing the wrong thing at the 7-inch scale.
Right.
But I think if you're a DC fan, you're not going to be concerned about what Marvel's doing or what Power Rangers are doing. You're just going to be like, I want that figure.
I think the collective mentality has changed. I really do. I really think Legends has changed the games. As far as that articulation scheme, that scale, the worlds have been built around it. And I think for you just to come out and meaning from McFarlane to just disregard and try and force something down your throat, and they're cheap. They're $15 on the shelf.
$20.
Yeah, 15, 20. Oh, I've seen them for 15 now. They're at
15. I mean, I'd sale, but I mean, retail is 20.
I had bought a couple of them, and I found them on Amazon. I did buy that first Superman, for like $8 on Amazon. And I was like, oh, I'll buy a couple, and I ended up just selling them because I couldn't really fit them in anywhere. So you probably have the certain percentage of collectors that don't care and are going to buy McFarlane or DC line because it's what they do. But I got to stick with the 6-inch scale.
I was talking to Justin this past week about this topic, the 7, and he made an interesting point that I don't think I've ever it's never been talked about in any of the conversations I've had about, is that it wouldn't have hurt McFarlane to do 6-inch.
No.
So there's no loss in it, and I have to, as much as I don't want to agree with him, I'm going to. He's right. It won't affect him now. Whether McFarlane felt he wanted to be different, like he did with The Walking Dead, which were 5.5 inches,
right,
or 5-inch scale. They were just a weird scale on that.
And I stayed away from them.
Me
too.
But I also think the other thing is they also weren't good figures too.
They weren't.
The paint apps were bad. The articulation were bad.
Yeah.
And I generally think, as a collector, if you can go look past the scale, if the figures are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with both of you, because Rob, I agree. I like the 6-inch scale as well. But Collector X, they're great figures. I can see in a few years when there's nothing. Maybe McFarlane will lose the license, maybe he won't. But then when you're looking for something to buy, maybe I'll be like, damn, I wish I bought those Robins, or I bought the Deathstroke, or I bought the Joker Who Laughs. I mean,
one of the things, was in the beginning was the articulation with me, but I've seen a lot of the figures review. The articulation is good. It's not bad. Is it consistent? No. There's certain figures that are better than others, and I guess any wave, I could look past that on certain figures. The scale is a complete no for me. I'm only buying them to flip. That's it.
Well, and that's the other thing. It's the value of them has not increased that much.
No.
And it'd be interesting to see the Robins, the Death Metal Robins are doing well, and the Merciless Build-A-Figure is doing well. Yeah. Outside of that, they're all still retail and, retail price. And most of them aren't even being discounted that much at all.
And what is he doing with this 4-month, 5-month Build-A-Figure?
He's doing the Batman Beyond Joker. Well, I forget what the Joker's name is called in that one. And he's doing it once a month. And again, those are the gimmicks that I understand. That would piss me off as a collector. It's like, listen, I want the Batman Beyond figures. I want the Shriek. I want the Build-A-Figure. I want all that. Give it to me as a wave.
Yeah.
Don't make it exclusive, released once a month. That will turn off people more than the 7-inch.
He's hanging along. He wants to keep the collectors for that, half a year for the money, to make the money.
He's saying it's because he wants to release one wave figure, a figure with wave with one figure in it, instead of a whole
wave
of 4 figures where you're limited to how many figures you can get. How many Batman Beyonds are going to be in that case, and how many this, how many that.
I get it a little bit, because he wants to make so many. Mego is kind of doing the same thing right now, where they're picking a figure on all sorts of licenses. Like they could do a Happy Days and I Love Lucy and a superhero or something, and you'll get one Happy Days figure a wave, or one superhero figure a wave, or one Gilligan's Island figure a wave. It's crazy what they're doing. I don't necessarily think it's a great model, but.
No,
I don't think it's a great model. Here's the other problem, because if they're going to do something like that, and let's say they start off with a Batman Beyond figure with the Build-A-Figure part in it, and it's a month, well, how long is that figure going to be on the pegs? Is it going to be rotated out for the next figure? So if you didn't get it on the first time, that's when the price of that figure is going to skyrocket, and now you're going to be really pissed off that you didn't get it the first time, and you're not going to release it.
Especially in the COVID land of how things are, we seem to miss out on a lot of stuff anymore just because.
I disagree. And this is my point with this. It's a supply and demand. If you can get it, it's not worth anything. It could be the best figure ever made, but if you could walk in any Target, any Walmart, and grab it off the shelf anytime you want, there's going to be no value to that figure in the aftermarket.
Right. I kind of get that, but collector-wise, when you just want to get everything for yourself and not resell, it's frustrating.
No, but I disagree with you, because it happened to you. The Storm and the Thunderbird 2-pack.
Yeah,
you didn't buy it, Greg, because there was 11 of them sitting on the shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
If there was 2, you would have bought one, but you didn't buy it because there was 11 of them sitting on the shelf, and they ended up being $25 each at Target. So there is a thing with supply and demand, and these companies know what they're doing. And
Of course
Target,
they do.
Of course they do. Yeah.
Target stepped out. Target listened to the fans, listened to the communities, listened to everybody complaining about they couldn't get it, and then they ate a whole bunch of loss on them Storm and Thunderbird 2-packs, where there wasn't another Marvel Legend on the shelf besides them 2-packs.
There really still isn't at my Target anyway. They're still there.
There's a thing to supply and demand, whether we like it or not.
I don't
the
like
chase
it.
of yeah,
Well,
like I said, you didn't buy it though. You didn't buy that 2-pack because there were so many there.
Yeah, I went out and got it and had to fight off a guy to get it because remember the pre-sale, it was sold out in 2 seconds because of the bots.
Not that that's a bad example, Rob. I have 3 other Storms though. And Thunderbird is not a character that I was really crazy about anyway. I could have dealt with kept my other 2 Storms and been completely happy.
Right.
So, that might not be the best example.
I'll do it from my example. I always buy toys to flip. I didn't buy them.
Right.
I started. Remember, you went in your Target. You said there's 11 here. All right.
Yeah, I texted
give
you.
me 2 or 3. Yeah, I'll send you the money. Buy me 2 or, and I regret buying them 2 or 3 because I just waited and
a piece. Yep.
Nobody bought them. And that Storm figure, I don't whether you like it or it's the original Storm. It's the first release Storm. There's a lot behind that Storm figure. Thunderbird, a whole different thing, but
no, you're not wrong. But I think the frustrating part for me is more of the G.I. Joe stuff. Like, I'm going to go hunting for stuff for G.I. Joes, and I want to find that Viper. I go to 10 Targets and come back with nothing. Right? That's the frustrating aspect of it. But
early Joes sat on the shelves. Early Joes, you could find a roadblock.
I never saw them.
I never saw them either.
I bought Destro. I bought Cobra Commander.
I saw Wave 1 once.
I bought Snake Eyes on the shelf. So,
but now you can't find any of them.
No. The hype is there. But if you're talking about an RV builder, nobody's going to go in and just buy one because these are adults. These ain't kids going in there and buying them.
Yeah.
They're adults with jobs. Whether they're buying the flip or whether they're buying because they want 8 on the shelf, but nobody's going to go in there and buy one Viper if you have the money.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that's the frustrating part. That's like kind of running into other lines for me, right? So I'm getting frustrated at G.I. Joe. I was getting frustrated at Black Series because you can't find the Mandalorian and the Child either. But I mean, I found one yesterday. But
sure,
it's just some certain aspects are getting frustrating for me. But I am seeing the Mcfarlane stuff just sit there kind of on the shelf.
You got to look at it as a retailer and it's selling, the Storm and Thunderbird just proved the point that Target did this before. I went into back in I don't know, let's say 10 years ago, if not longer.
Yeah.
My local Target had, I want to say, and I'm not exaggerating, 60 snow speeders for the 3 3/4 inch, whenever that came out back in the day. You know how many they sold? You know how many I ended up buying at, let's say, $5 to $6 a snow speeder? At least 40 to 50. They didn't sell them because, you could just go grab them. Where I was going in other Targets and they were gone. Mm-hmm. Because they only got a short amount. I don't know why this Target got so many, but it's a supply and demand thing, and it's an old game with sales. And if they give you what you want, you're not going to buy it. It's the point of and it sucks. Yeah. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it sucks. It's the way they make money and keep the energy up about this.
Of course, because you got to play the game with them. You got to make that decision whether am I going to buy the 2-pack at retail, or am I going to sit there and take that chance 3 months later that's going to be on sale and I'm going to be available to get there and purchase it. So you got to weigh that game. Some and hopefully you're at least 51% of the time you're on the right side of that. But a lot of times you're going to miss out. I mean, I'll give you an example. The Craven black costume Spider-Man from Target, right?
Mm-hmm.
I figured it's going to be popular. It's a good Craven, it's on the reissue with a couple things on the Spider-Man. I'll wait for it to go on sale. Well, I could never find it. I could never find it in the stores anywhere.
I think I saw that once at my Target as well.
Yep. And it did go on sale, but unless you had one to buy, you just couldn't get it. So I had to get it off the secondary market for full retail. I mean, I lucked out on that, but still, the reality is, how do you play that game? How do you justify waiting or buying it now? You know,
sure. It's all gamble. You know, nothing's written in concrete. You know that. You know, and people lose, people win. You know, if you would have bought the Miles and Gwen 2-pack from the Spider-Verse, that thing's going insane right now. $150 sealed. Yeah. You know, that's going insane. Yeah, where I seen them pretty regularly. You know, they weren't.
So did I, and I passed on because I just didn't.
It's
not what I wanted as a collector.
I never saw that one either. I never saw the Colossus and Juggernaut 2-pack. I never saw
that one either.
The Miles and Gwen. I never saw.
Well, that was it. Like the Colossus, I saw it once, passed on it, and I bought it on offer online months later. But yeah, if you pass it in the wild, it's gone. The odds are you're never going to see it again. So you either get on it now or you don't. Right. So
I saw all the movie 2-packs multiple times.
Oh yeah. The Deadpool one dried up a little bit now, but the other ones you could still almost find, you know, if you hunt hard enough. Magneto and Professor X.
Okay.
I think that from the movie waves, besides the Deadpool, and I'm not even talking that, you know, not Domino, none of that. The movie waves have taken a hit because we haven't had a movie in a year. You know, the MCU part of this, Marvel Legends, is drying up a little bit right now.
Well, I mean, that's why they didn't release the Eternals wave, is because there's nothing to prop it up. You know,
I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have bought it anyway. Yeah. Regardless if the movie was good or not. I mean, it'd have to be like in the Guardians of the Galaxy type of wave or movie for me to buy it, because I've seen the photos. They do nothing for me whatsoever.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I totally agree.
Absolutely nothing. And that's a strict movie wave. Every figure and the Build-A-Figure is part of that movie.
That's not a good wave.
No.
I wonder how many they're going to make of that Eternals. Do they know that that's not going to be a popular wave?
Listen, it's going to be popular if the movie's good. That's as simple as that. Sure. If the movie's not good, you're done. But as far as the collector's concerned, I know I'm passing on that.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm looking at it at an investor aspect. There was a recent wave, a movie wave that came out that was real short that they said they were going to make again, but they never did. I'm not sure. Might have been the first of, not the first Avengers, the Infinity War, or one of them waves came out kind of short run, and they were supposed to remake them, and them figures are a little pricier now because of that. Yeah, and I can't.
Was it the Brothor wave?
Maybe, yeah.
Brothor wave. That was one where it was limited distribution because there was no movie at that time to prop it up. So typically, Walmarts and Targets are like, yeah, we're going to kind of pass on that. We want a ongoing movie. This is at the tail end. Actually, the movie had already passed through the theaters.
Sure.
So, you have that wave. And they did release some of the figures, but I think they did a European wave too, where they were releasing some of the figures. And again, that's going to be hard to track down as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how much they're going to produce out of this Eternals. I'm not touching it. And hopefully we don't look back on this episode at one point and say, damn, we were all dummies.
Well, I think the situation is, those figures are already produced. They're sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
Sure.
So the reality is, if they're cheap, I'll pick them up because, if you get them $5 a piece, you sell them for 15, you're good to go.
That's going to be an Amazon $8 a piece wave at some point.
Or a Five Below or something. And that's what you do. But to go out on the onset and say, yes, that's the wave I have to have as a collector, I have to wonder about you as a collector at that point.
Yeah. Real quick, while we're on Marvel Legends, Collector X, I have a story for you. Last week, I walked into my Target and, nothing really there. And I'm looking at the Legends, and they have every Venompool figure on the shelf.
Did you buy them?
Wait. There's a caveat, right?
No.
So I have them all in my hands. And then I look at Phage. Like, Phage was there. And like, wait, there's no Build-A-Figure piece. And then I'm looking, somebody had taken Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and put them in place of the Venompool. It was they almost got me, Collector X. I'm telling you, they almost got me.
All right, yeah, I can see it now.
I can see
Wow,
it.
that's Playmates Turtles 2 in there.
Yes. Yep. Is that
Wow.
not crazy?
I love it. I love it. That's kids.
I love going on Instagram and seeing those horrible swaps.
This
Yeah.
was the worst swap I've ever seen.
There's more.
I had them all in my hands, and then you motherfuckers, you almost got me. You almost got me. And I called Rob coming out and said, Rob, they almost got me. I had Phage in them all. I had the Venom Pool wave, but no.
And I told Greg, if we were 16, 17 with no jobs, we would do the same thing.
Oh, look. I got skeletons in my closet about that stuff too. Me and your brother did some crazy shit with toys, right?
Sure.
So I get it, dude. But you almost got me. I did that shit to you.
Yeah, but see, the problem is those aren't 16-year-olds are doing. Those are 35-year-olds doing it, okay?
You're right about that. Yeah.
Oh my God. They used to have two stores in New Jersey where we all live, Jamesway and Ames. I'm sure you guys remember those stores, right? And G.I. Joe was big at the time, 12-inch G.I. Joe. And I used to army build the figures. And I think it was like a grunt outfit or a grunt figure or a Cobra Trooper figure. I bought these things and I returned them. I'm not kidding. You can ask Frank, Rob's brother. You can ask Frank this. I put a stick in one because I wanted the body for army building. I put a stick and I put the outfit on top of it. And I took it back to Ames and said, my mom bought me this and it's a fucking stick. And they put it back on the shelf. And I sat there till they closed. The stick.
I would have bought it.
You put James and Ames way out of business.
I did. I probably did.
Or James Way and Ames out of business. I'm telling you.
But I get it. But they almost got me. That's
hilarious. It's disappointing and hilarious at the same time.
Sure.
It is. But yeah, that's my latest. It seems like Marvel Legends were kind of in a dull month or so right now, right? Because it doesn't seem like there was the She-Hulk, the Green She-Hulk reveal last week, I think, early last week. But other than that, for about a month, we've been kind of at a lull, right? Just kind of.
Yeah, I think most toy manufacturers are holding out for February because that would have been Toy Fair. And
right.
They're going to do their all online reveals. Super 7 started Monday with their 7 days of reveals leading up to their essentially Toy Fair. So you're not going to see much on the Marvel Legends side until that happens. So give that another 2 weeks.
Did we see a price increase on Marvel Legends?
That is the rumor right now that you're looking at a $3 increase. So you're looking at from $19.99 to $22.99. They feel that's going to start towards the summertime. So like the next couple waves will still be within the $20 range, but that's going to affect it sometime in the summer.
Sure.
So
it's bound to happen. It's
bound to happen. We haven't had one. Not that I'm happy about it. We haven't had one since the Mandroid wave.
Yeah.
So that's been many years now. But again, we'll see what happens. We'll see what retailers do if they're going to go on sale still. And again, it's playing that game. You buy it now, knowing that you have it, or you play that waiting game and piece by piece it.
Sure, I agree.
I was very excited yesterday. I got an email from Big Bad Toy Store that I missed the Spider-Verse wave, and they charged me for it yesterday. So I am getting that at pretty much retail cost.
Good.
Nice.
So I'm quite pleased about that. I do still have a pre-order in for the Venom Pool wave. They just haven't charged me yet. So I'm hoping that they'll still get a couple cases of that in as well.
They're going to get that. That hasn't been released yet. We're Entertainment Earth the same way. That's not shipping until like March or April.
Oh, okay.
So we've got some time on that.
That's why I don't have that wave yet.
Yeah, neither do I. So I found my wave that I found it at Target. I got lucky.
Me too. I got almost the full wave. Yeah,
I got lucky.
Venom Pool. So let's switch up a little bit. Collector X, I was talking to him a little bit back, and I'm not into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not saying they aren't fantastic, because they are, and I just missed the boat on that, and I'm not going to go chase. I'm chasing other lines right now. And he explained to me about the Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And go ahead and take it over. Tell me a little bit about them.
The Super 7, so what they're doing, they got they They have the license to produce the original Playmates version toys that we all grew up with, the ones that we all collected. They're doing it in a 6-inch scale, highly articulated, highly detailed, accessories out the ass in great packaging. And I'm going to show you a couple that I have right here. And so they're making what you wanted as a figure, as a collector nowadays. So that's Leonardo.
Wow. Looks good.
I don't think I got Leonardo yet. Oh, you know what? Because I did that pre-order through Big Bad. Oh man, he's nice, dude.
Yeah. So this is amazing. I mean, if you have the Raphael,
I have the Wave 1, right?
Wave 1. So this is, obviously the same thing, just blue Leonardo. Now, if you were lucky enough, the Raphael is doing about $150 now.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And that's only been out for a few months. It hasn't been out that long. So
I can't wait. I can't
just
wait.
think about what this guy's going to do. Now, to go to a little more of the obscure characters, here's Mutagen Man.
Oh wow.
Oh geez. Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow.
It is. These things are absolutely amazing. They literally
I'm jealous.
took it
I'm jealous.
and gave you the mature version of a turtle that you wanted.
Jeez.
So, and then in that line, they also had Bebop, and who was the other one in there? I think it was Splinter in that wave. And the previous wave they did Shredder. Excuse me, it was Shredder, Bebop, Mutagen Man, and Leonardo.
Okay, right.
Previous wave was Baxter Stockman, Raphael,
Splinter.
Foot Soldier,
Right,
and Splinter. Yes.
Right. So yeah, I haven't got Wave 2 yet. But man,
look, you guys are making me itch here. Stop talking. I'm getting itches here. Like
you better get on them now because I'm
getting uncomfortable.
Now, I'm doing both lines, right? I'm doing the Super 7 line. I did the first wave pre-order through Super 7, but I think I did the rest through Big Bad because it was a little bit easier for me because they didn't charge me until they get them in stock, right? So I did that, through Big Bad Toy Store. I think I paid a couple extra dollars more, but at the time I didn't care. But I'm also doing the NECA turtles as well, dude. I love them. I love them to death. There's pictures which I should have pulled up, but of Splinter. Let me show you have you seen the NECA Splinter and Baxter 2-pack yet, Collector X?
I haven't seen. I did pre-order it. It should be shipping next week from Target.
Yeah.
See, now with these figures, it's a love-hate thing with these. I love NECA. I think they're one of my favorite producers. I'm not a huge fan of these turtles, and I have a few. I got there you go. The Trag and Graninator figures.
Right.
And I've picked up a couple others pre-ordered. Some to sell. I got the Krang body coming. The thing that bugs me out about it is the wash and the black detail lines on them.
Oh.
It kind of gives it a cheap look to it. It doesn't look refined.
I like it. I like
it too, man. Yeah, I dig it.
I tell you, I like it.
There are people from ACBA, Articulated Comic Book Art, that are taking some killer pictures of this stuff. That Splinter looks like you're straight out of the cartoon.
I don't know. There's something about it. I just can't. And I'm trying to think about the cartoon and envisioning watching it as a child on Saturday mornings and stuff, or coming home from school. And I can't see the correlation between the two. I just can't.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not that they're bad figures. I'm just having a hard time connecting to it, like I am with these. These, I immediately connected to.
You're right, right. Because we all collected them. We all had them.
I can see that. The only turtles I will buy, and because I'm not a turtle, I didn't grow up with turtles. I'm a little bit, maybe older than you youngins over here, but is the comic book. If they come out with the comic book version again, I would definitely jump all over that. I'm not going to go chase the old NECA ones because they're just too damn expensive. But I would definitely jump on a comic book line of turtles.
There's knockoffs that are dirt cheap too. I was actually thinking about buying because they're so cheap on eBay from China.
Right. And I heard they're good. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Collector X, I am digging everything Turtles right now, from Super 7 to NECA. I think both companies are killing it. Whatever you're looking for, if you're looking for something like the old Playmates toys that Super 7's doing, just bigger, better, so many accessories. I am so digging those, but as well as the NECA, they're a little bit harder to find too because everybody's buying them to resell, and I can't find a couple of those packs either. But what I can find, I am really, really digging.
Oh, listen, I agree. And listen, it is, if you're a Turtles fan, you're in heaven. I mean, this is the time to, to immerse yourself, and it's hard to pick because not many people can collect both at the same time. I mean, you're talking, these 2-packs are $52 a piece.
Yeah.
These Turtles, depending on where you get them from, like I went through Dorkside. They're a little cheaper, and they only charge you when they're released.
Cool.
But a set of 4 still cost you $180.
I know it is very, very expensive. I agree.
And
then Super 7 was doing each wave like pretty much close to each other. You had wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, a couple months apart. So you get slammed with a nice bill there.
Yes. Now the good thing with Super 7 right now, and Brian Flynn has discussed this, is that, and this is what's happening with the Thundercats line. So wave 1 of Thundercats has already been released months ago.
Yes.
Wave 3 is going to be released before wave 2 because wave 3 is coming from their own factory now. So they're going to have more control of how they come out.
Oh,
and that's going to make things easier. So instead of having a year-long delay and they charge you up front, you're going to get them faster.
So hold on, explain that to me a little better, please. So you're saying Super 7 is making their own action figures now?
Yes, they said they have their own factory. Now, does that mean that they're making them in their own factory or they have a better partnership? I can't say for sure, but he says they have their own factory. So wave 2 that has Mum-Ra, and I forget the other 3 figures in that wave, they're not going to be released anytime soon. You're going to get wave 3 before you get wave 2 because of that, which is a good thing for the collectors because one of the biggest gripes was having this kind of Kickstarter mentality on demand. You're charged up front, and then it takes a whole year to get the figures. Right. So now you should be getting them a lot faster, but that also means you're going to be buying more than the 1 or 2 a year.
You guys are really giving me the itches here, the hives. So are you saying that
you got to bring some calamine lotion before you get on? Okay.
Yeah, no, you just got to bring me some turtles. That's all. I'll go away.
Well, speaking of Thundercats, I don't know if you Amaro Joe on Instagram. I got the sarcophagi or sarcophagus.
I did too, Joe Amaro, right?
That?
Yeah. I got a snarf too. Did you get a snarf?
No, I didn't get a snarf. I didn't know you made one.
Yep. I would show you, but I'm afraid it's gonna look like shit on my camera. You look like a ball of red.
Just put it in front of the Christmas tree. You'll be good to go, man. Don't worry.
Christmas has been over for 2 months, for a month now.
So, is there a price change in the wave 2 and wave 3? Is there any price differences?
No, you guys keep talking. I'm gonna get snarf for Collector X.
All right. No, the price is still the same, $44.99 a piece, like $179 or something like that for the 4. Right. So there's no discount for that, but I think it's just for more efficiency and better customer service that you're going to get those on a more timely basis.
I would love to see the logistics of that, like the profit margin on something like that. Are they increasing profits or losing profits? Like I guess we just don't know enough about it. It was a very vague statement.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
How long ago was he making those?
A year ago. He also made a Snarfer. I guess it's Snarf's cousin from an episode.
Yeah.
I have not gotten Snarfer yet, but
that's tremendous.
That's really nice.
That looks retail.
Yeah, it does.
I think if they do a retail, they're going to hire this guy, and I'm going to get the exact same. I paid, I think, $90 for this. Might be a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. I don't exactly remember.
That guy, Amaro Joe, he worked on the
right. He has done various things for Four Horsemen Studios.
Four Horsemen. Right. He worked on the Snake Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
so no, he's awesome. He's doing some good stuff.
Yeah, this Snarf is amazing. I like Super 7, as I've told Rob before. I like their model. I like the make-to-order model, even though you have to wait for it. I like it.
I do too. I think also their customer service. I was telling Rob, I don't know if you're aware of this, Anarchy. The first wave of Thundercats, there were some QC issues with the Panther head, the underwear and stuff. They did a booster pack to fix all those problems. And if you bought it from Big Bad Toy Store, obviously direct through them and any licensed dealer, you're going to get that booster pack for free to fix those problems.
Right.
Wow.
I did see, and they just posted there was a picture of the pack that I just saw today. Did you see what they're included? There's a couple guns and some other things.
There's a couple guns, the Jackal Man harness and fur. And they give you step-by-step instructions on how to pop the figure open and put it on and do everything. So they've done that before with a Triclops head on the Master Universe line. I love the fact that they're collector oriented and they fix their mistakes without charging you.
It gives you confidence to invest in that and whatever they're making.
Absolutely. You don't hesitate. You're like, I know I'm taken care of. So if there's a problem.
Did you guys see the reveal for Thundercats the other day?
Yeah, I'm already trying to harvest enough blood to sell. So I'm wondering, what do you think? What do you think the price point on that thing's going to be?
$200.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm thinking more like $350.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because it's got light up headlights and everything. I hope it's $200, but I think it's $350.
200 to $250. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think for what the quality they're pushing out and the limited numbers they're probably going to be pushing out, I think you're looking at $350 or up.
Yeah, this is going to be on demand. How much was the Snake Mountain? Was that $600, $800?
$600. Yeah, it was $100. I did a payment plan, $100 a month.
All right, so figure that size, half of that. Yeah, I'd say about $300.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my brain it's smaller because it's a Thunder Tank and not like a Snake Mountain place. But yeah, you're probably right. It might be that much. Remember
earlier? Did you see the scale of lino on top of them?
Yes.
I mean, that thing it's big.
Yeah, you're right now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, like I said earlier, it's that car payment that we're going to have again.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Don't worry, I want that. I definitely want that.
So you're going to get that? You're going to jump in that? You're going to try?
Oh yeah, I'll chase down that vehicle. I love that tank, man.
Yeah.
And I'll put them away in a nice dark place and wait for them to mature.
It will. I think it will.
It will. Oh yeah, that's a definite. That's There's no doubt about that one. I mean, that's like a HasLab figure right there. So
it is. Yeah.
Well, going to stores now, like I'm in and out of Target a lot. I know Anarchy is, and so are you, Collector X. We're in and out of retail stores, constantly, and it's nice to buy online, but it's also nice to find something on the shelf. It's a little satisfying. There's something satisfying about it.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. It's just frustrating not finding anything when you're looking for this stuff.
Sure. But what are you buying now? What are you guys chasing now? What are you collecting? What are you flipping? If you want me to start, I'll start.
Start it.
Yeah. I'm hitting Target hard, man. Target seems like they have got it down a little bit. They feel like a mini Toys R Us. They're constantly flipping product. They got a lot of exclusives, and it seems like Walmarts are just so hard with the way their infrastructure is to put toys on the shelf. It doesn't work. It's just so nobody gives a fuck there. You can't find it's a different class of people. I hate to say it, but it's just there's a difference. There's a difference in the Target and the Walmart. I'm chasing the Star Wars. I'm trying to get the Commander Cody's, all I can get, and all the Admiral, what's his name?
Thrawn.
Thrawn.
Grand Admiral Thrawn. Right.
I'm chasing the WWE Ultimate figures. I think they have a lot of legs. You put them away. Right now it's Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and the Fiend. I'm chasing, of course, Marvel Legends. And I ain't buying Frogman and stuff like that, but I'll buy all the Miles I can find and all the Gwens I can find. And
hey, listen, that Frogman is a good figure. I don't care what anybody says.
Figure, but I'm not going to invest in it.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you have a whole shed full of them, but it's a good figure.
And today I walked in and I found a Grimlock with a wheelie from
nice. I have not seen
the 86 movie. I pre-ordered that thing immediately.
I did too. I found Hot Rod in the store, but I don't.
Oh, how's he look in person?
Oh God,
I don't think Rob wants to get into Hot Rod again. Rob is a hater of Hot Rod.
Oh my God, I'd have to put it in a paper bag just to buy it.
Well, it's funny. Rob's got a tramp stamp of him, Hot Rod. I don't know why he hates it so much.
He's a closet Hot Rod lover. I thought so. You don't hate somebody something that much for a reason. So I believe it.
He fucking tried to take over. They tried to make him the new Optimus, and it didn't work.
It did work. It was the best thing they ever did.
Oh.
Hot Rod is the greatest leader in Transformers history. Fight me.
Yeah.
Oh.
You might get jumped coming out of your house. Just know that. Saying things like that.
I posted on Facebook, and a friend of mine said, "Go back to China." I didn't know what I was talking about.
And I'm on the hunt for the cards, man. The baseball, the football, the basketball cards. And I am striking out bad because I am not finding nothing. But that's an immediate flip. If you guys run into baseball, basketball, don't be scared to look it up and see what it's doing. Because you'll buy a box for 20 and it's doing 80.
You gotta remind me. I keep forgetting to look for you, dude. You gotta remind me.
You don't even have to open it. Don't even open it. Sealed wax is the way to go right now. Let the stuff mature on your shelf. If it's, believe me, it's fun opening a box of cards and ripping open the packs, and that's the fun part. Right. It's not the after part, though.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, Rob and I, and your brother Justin, we all used to even go together and hunt. Those days are over, and I don't get as much enjoyment hunting. I don't even call it hunting. If I have to go buy toiletries or food, I go check the toy out. I don't specifically ever go and go, hey, let's see what's going on at Target, and that sucks. That aspect of it is dead for me. It really is.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly trying to find out online when the stuff breaks, so this way I can get the figure and not have to pay an astronomical price on the secondary market.
Sure.
So, you literally have to quit your job, like for baseball cards, and sit there and wait until the distributor gets there, so you can stalk them and jump them and get the product.
Yeah, and that's the way it is with the baseball cards. That's why I can't find them, because people have their schedules down. And I'm not saying that it's the rep so much. Target and Walmart, they're not stocking their own shelves with that. There's a rep that comes in from Topps and Panini that is coming in and stocking their shelves. And people have. Now, I'm sure there are instances where people are working together, and buying the stuff. But I want to say that mostly it's just guys that are there waiting. And Target is trying to limit quantities that you can buy. Walmart, you can buy it all. As soon as it hits the shelf, they basically, the rep will come in from Panini or Topps. They'll load the shelves. And all they have to do is load the shelf, take a picture to prove that the product was put on the shelf. Once that's done, there's no limit to what you can buy.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So if you see it, you'll see a lot or you'll see none. There's no in between. There is no in between. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's disappointing. I mean, but that's the nature of the beast now. I mean, that's just what it is.
It is. That people are supporting their families with this. They're making, and there's people that are just doing it for pure profit, and there's people that are just love doing it and they're ripping the packs open.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not hating on anybody's game. If you want it, work harder. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Try to find that edge. See if you you can get what you need. But
so what are you buying? What are you buying? And what are you looking at?
Right now, I mean, I'm obviously Legends, which is a mainstay for me. The Turtles from Super 7, Thundercats from Super 7, Transformers too. Like I just picked up from Hasbro Plus because I'm a premium member. I got the Quintessence.
Oh, cool.
So nice. It is kind of building my 1986 movie or 1987 movie up along with the stuff like you said, the Grimlock. I have those pre-ordered. But one of my two main things, and Anarchy you'll love. Look at these Hot Wheels. That's a mini Land Shark.
Oh wow! Cool.
Yeah.
That is a mini freaking Land Shark.
I have not seen those.
Mini Wind Raider.
Oh wow! Check it out.
And then
we'll be in Target tomorrow.
Thunder Tank. That was not $350.
No, that's definitely not. But I mean, that's cool little stuff to put in your room. Nothing expensive.
Sure.
Are they exclusive anywhere? Are they Walmart or?
No exclusive at all that I can tell. Okay. I think you just have to be in the right place at the right time.
Gotcha.
So
okay, cool.
But one of the main things I've been doing, I was telling Moz this. I've been collecting 9/8 CGC comics right now recently.
Oh, okay.
doing a lot of investing. I got lucky with the I bought it a year ago, first appearance of Miles Morales at a very cheap price. And after I was told how much it's doing, I finally like, let me get into it a little bit more. So over the last 2 months, I've been buying a lot of 9/8 stuff.
Oh wow, comics are a good investment, dude. You're going down the right road. I mean, I should get into that as well. Rob should probably get back into it as well.
Absolutely. Let's put it this way. So, New Mutant is 98, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first appearance of Deadpool.
Yep.
I was looking at it in December because this is when I started really getting into it, and it was doing around $900 roughly. Okay. When it was announced from Disney at the investors meeting that Deadpool will be part of the MCU and still stay rated R, the comic is doing now around $2,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
It doubled in price in less than a month and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I kick myself every day now going, should have got on it. Should have got on it.
That's crazy.
There'll be another opening. It'll come down. You got to give it a chance. It'll come down to about 12 to 1500. It'll never be.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that there's a lull, it settles, and I can jump back in at a reasonable price. But it's like, wow. I mean, people are just without hesitation buying now $1,800.
Rated comics are keeping their value and going up, especially if you can find that character that the MCU might introduce. Like Rocket Raccoon was a good example. He had a cheap Hawk issue that his first appearance was in, but
his comics still doing a 9/8, still doing almost $1,000. The Rocket Raccoon. Again, it's all about trying to stay on top. It's like a stock, trying to figure out at the low end.
You're playing the big boy game. That's modern comics you can buy off the shelves. That's one way to do it. It's hard. You need a 9/8 or 9/9, for really something like that. Unless there's some kind of first appearance or something major with the book. But that's also a game to play. Is go buy a newsstand at $3 to $4 a piece. Buy multiples, put them in bags and boards, and put them in a box and put them away. And there's the hits. There's going to be a lot of investment money in that, sure. But the hits, if they hit like the Miles, like the Deadpools, even some more modern books,
you're going to do very, very well.
In the end, and it's cheaper to grade a modern comics, or just buy 9/8 modern,
Well, that's the route I'm going. Is that yes, you can go the route of taking it raw and hoping it comes back a 9/8, and a minimal investment, like you said. What's the graded comic? $25 modern comic,
sure.
Plus your initial investment in the comics. So let's say it costs you only $30. You end up selling it for $100 at 9/8 on the low end because it's nothing special the comic other than the grade. You made yourself $70.
Yeah.
However, to go through that time, energy, and effort, hoping it comes back at 9/8, you're almost better off buying that 9/8 at $80.
Sure.
And hope and seeing where it goes from there.
Sure. But
the work's already done for you.
But the only problem with that is the volume. And that's what I'm saying. You can buy 10 copies at $40. You could send them all in. If you pull 2 or 3 9/8s out of them 10 copies, the volume, because you're buying one.
Yeah.
So as the price fluctuates, you gotta make a decision when you want to let go of this book.
Yeah.
But you don't have it again. What I mean? Once you sell it, it's gone. If you have 2, then it's not a problem selling the one when it hits $1,000.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But that's like anything with the figures and stuff like that. You wish you had, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, 10 Venom pools,
Sure.
But the odds are usually you're going to have 1 or 2 of them because you're not going to buy, most likely you're not going to buy 20 cases of that wave.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If you don't think that figures are going to be re-released, you're mistaken because it will be.
I just got offered $16,000 for my Zion.
Did you?
Yeah,
did you sell it, or did you?
No, I didn't sell it. I didn't sell it because I don't know where it's going to go. He's playing really well right now. He really took his fitness level to a new level. And he's still learning. He really didn't play much last year.
Yeah,
and this is really like his first rookie season. So, and he's doing very well. He's very explosive. So. I don't know. I don't know if I want to sell it. I got 30 on it on eBay, and this was the first offer I got at 16, but it's 6,000 cash and two $5,000 cards. You know, so
that's different. I thought it was if he's offering 16 grand cash.
Yeah, I would almost take it immediately. You know, but 15 I would probably take cash.
Right.
You know, but the two cards, you know, I could probably flip them for 5, but football's on its way down. It's 2 football. So I have to wait. I have to sit on them, and I'd rather sit on the Zion than I would the 2 other cards.
I've been meaning to ask you how that was doing.
Yeah, because it means in the end you're gonna have to do work to try to not recoup, but try to get what you wanted in the first place.
Sure.
But like you said, if you sit on it for another 6 months, it could be $22,000.
Potential. It's potential. Collector X. It's the potential of Zion versus Kyler Murray from the Cardinals. I think the Zion part of this is the potential is way higher than it would be for Kyler Murray. Okay. You know, and I think the line up would be a lot faster for Zion than it would be, you know, for Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Well, you got to think about it. I mean, just basketball in general. I mean, you have 80 games to play. That's 80 times to see that guy play. Where Kyler Murray's got 16 games, and that's it. If he doesn't do it, that's it. You know,
you're seeing his face every night. There's no helmets. You know, he's in a ton of commercials. He was the first pick in the draft. They were both first picks in the draft, but you know,
just think
the potential.
That if you're getting that price now, if somebody's off you 5 cash and you know a couple other cards that you might get 10,000 for in 6 months, you might get 12,000 cash and 2 $5,000 cards. You know, I have a hard time with that stuff because I would probably be like, Rob, you know how I am. Oh, I'm going to sell it right away. But you know, would take your own advice and just hold it for a little bit.
But he'd sell it to Frank, and then 2 days later he'd
John would get MVP and be worth $100 grand.
That would be it. That's fine.
I see what you're saying, and you know, the definite first reaction was, you know, I got to really think about this, you know, but like I said, the potential. I have 2,500 into the card, so you know, I 6,000 cash and them 2 Kyler Murrays, you know, give me 15 and we'll call it a day. You know,
oh, absolutely. I would have passed on that immediately, unless those 2 other cards he was offering were way more in value to make it more enticing. Obviously, you're not going to do that as a trade, but to only get basically a third of what you wanted cash wise, it's not worth it because now you got to do the work.
If it was 10 grand cash and 5 grand in the 2 Kylers that are worth 5 each, you know, then I do it. You know, then I do it. Then I'd be dumb not to. But I'm paying full market value right now for the Kylers at 5 grand each.
Exactly.
You know, so I got to think of it that way, and I don't want to pay full market value for them cards.
Right.
You know,
I hear you.
give me 6,000 for the Kylers, and then another 9,000 cash. Yeah, we could talk. You know, because then I'm close to 20 if everything pans out. You know, but right now, if Kyler breaks his leg, they can go down to $200 cards. You know,
exactly. He can end up being the next RG3, and then you're stuck.
Sure. So. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, you're doing with 98 Comics. You know, but I wish I had 2. You know, what
I mean, when I look back on it, I mean, because I had this discussion with Justin and your brother, and you know. When I bought it, I'm looking back on it now. I could have bought, you know, 8, 9, 10, 12 copies at the same price that I bought this one. But, you know,
sure,
I didn't. And that's the whole thing. It's a question of I'll take a chance on one and see where it goes.
Yeah. So, yeah. What are you hunting, Anarchy? What are you out there hunting right now? I know you're in Target every day, man.
I've been in Target every day, depending on when I get time off from work. I'll take a break, run over there, or after work, I'll run over there. Turtles 2 packs from NECA. I need the 2 pack. There's 2 packs with dinosaurs in it, Zorak and Zorg, and the Infantryman and Roadkill Rodney. I need those 2 packs. So the restock was supposed to happen this week or last week. So my Target hasn't stocked anything in the NECA section. So I'm hardcore looking for those. You know, I found my Mandalorian in the child yesterday. One just sitting there. One thing that I'm going hardcore into right now, and Rob knows this, I'll buy a Black Series figure, and then I'll buy, let me undo my screen. Then I'll buy a Casting Cave head. and get like the definitive version of that character, right? So here is, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I bought the Black
Look at
Series
that.
figure with the casting cave head.
Nice.
I love it. I love that. It makes me want one because that head is so good. I hate them for showing me this shit.
But yeah, I'm hardcore, and if I found that Obi-Wan Kenobi at BAM the other day, last weekend, Books and More, and it was $22, and I was like, oh, I actually did already buy that casting cave head, and I ordered it wrong. I thought it was the old Obi-Wan, and it was the younger Obi-Wan. But when I found that Obi-Wan, I was like, oh, I have the head. So
Yeah, perfect.
yeah, but it's a little bit expensive. You're paying $20 for the figure and then $40 for the head. So to get your definitive Obi-Wan Kenobi or Han Solo, you're spending a little bit of money. So they're the two main things I'm doing right now. I haven't really bought. I'm not finding G.I. Joe, right? I did Black Series, The Mandalorian Child. I found yesterday one on a shelf for $37.99 at my Target. And if I see the Transformers 86 series, I will pick them up. Or I bought Hot Rod, but I have the rest pre-ordered from Big Bad Toy Store. So I got the Grimlock and the Wheelie. I can't wait to get that. I think the Wheelie looks fantastic. I think Grimlock looks great. That's the hardcore stuff I'm into right now. Just loving that stuff, loving all of it. It's on the hunt is getting frustrating a little bit, especially for G.I. Joes and the Black Series figures that you can't find. I haven't seen the new wave that Commander Cody and Grand Admiral Thrawn or any of those. So it does get a little bit frustrating. It almost makes you want to throw the towel in a little bit, but then you find something, right? Like I found the Mandalorian and Child, and like you're right back in. They just suck you right back in when you find something.
Sure.
But yeah, guys, that's what I'm doing right now. And I can't wait to get the Spider-Verse wave for Marvel Legends from Big Bad Toy Store. That should be coming probably here by Friday.
Yeah, they did a bang up job on that. I mean, it's top notch. I mean, it's. Have you looked at yours yet, Rob?
No.
You
But
haven't looked at it yet?
No, I haven't opened. I already got them loose, so I found them in the stores. I found them.
Okay. Oh, so you got a case just for the flip and everything.
I bought all the Miles, the Peter B. Parkers, and all the Gwens. So
Nice.
yeah,
They did an amazing job on them all. I mean, they just look spectacular. I mean, other than Spider-Ham not having articulation, that's the only downside.
He's small enough so you can get away with it.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned. Trust me, I'm not gonna kick it out of bed. Let's put it that way.
I love Spider-Ham. You guys are probably thinking, damn, you have some shitty ass taste. You like Hot Rod better than Optimus Prime. You like Spider-Ham. Get off the podcast, Anarchy. You suck.
You really, Anarchy, you really drive my collector side of this. You drive that part of me, and Collector X, you have taught me so much about flipping and being a collector and also a dealer. On both ends of it. And I appreciate you both, man. I appreciate you both.
Listen, I'm glad. Listen, I've learned from you as well, and I'm glad we all learn from one another on this stuff because listen, we don't know it all. I think as your brother put it famously, I know a little bit about everything to survive, and that's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on anything, but I know enough that I can have a conversation about it, but I'm still learning on everything. So
sure, always learn.
Always learning.
On that note, thank you, Collector X, for joining us again. It's always a pleasure. We love to have you, and I hope you join us whenever you can. Especially in February, I'm sure the Toy Fair reveals will be hot and heavy. So
absolutely, and I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you guys invited me the second time on here. It's great. And yeah, they're gonna have a lot of reveals from a lot of companies, and we're gonna have a lot of talk about come February in a couple weeks. So
sure,
it'll be a good time.
Yes, it definitely will. So on that note, guys, thank you again, and we'll see you guys next time.
Remember, like, subscribe, comment. Let's have some fun. Come on.
I agree. I second that. All right, thanks, guys. Mozzcast out.